two strike, two out, two-run home run.
The action courtesy Guardians Radio, 5-4 the win over the Tigers last night. That ties the American League Division Series at 2 games apiece. The deciding Game 5 is tomorrow in Cleveland. Tarek Skubal starts for Detroit. The Guardians haven't announced their starter. The winner advances to face the New York Yankees, who beat the Royals 3-1 last night to take that series in 4 games. Tonight, the Padres take on the Dodgers. Game 5 in Los Angeles. The Dodgers haven't announced a starter. Yu Darvish starts for San Diego. The winner advances to face the New York Mets in the NLCS. Thursday Night Football, the 49ers beat the Seahawks 36-24. Both teams are 3-3 with the result. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LANZESS.
No way football is played in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the 2 best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
And away we go. The best hour of your day now officially underway. It is Moneyline. It's your boy Donnie Rightside. And on a football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network, SiriusXM Channel 159. The big man on campus will join us next year. We'll hit the college football card. We'll hit the NFL card. We'll have some fun. We'll talk some action. We'll talk the Boozer twins going to Duke, 2 5-star athletes to follow in their father's footsteps of the brotherhood down with the Duke Blue Devils. And we are only, 3 weeks away from college basketball season starting. Where does the time go? How did we get to week 6 in the NFL? We'll get to that with some action from last night and also some lost a little bit of money. Jordan Mason gets hurt. Maybe could have been a different night. Kenneth Walker needed to get to 50 rushing yards, but we did hit some bets, but it could have been a monster night, and it wasn't. We'll push that forward from Thursday over to Sunday. Now, let me get some of these topics out of the way. Because I get passionate. I get angry. And all that stuff. By the way, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, SportsGrid on demand. Get in there, hit the subscribe button, come in the chat box, say hello. My guy Extra Money's out there, otherwise known as the X-Man, is chilling with us. You got information, you got hot plays, you want to share it, you want to get some takes off, that's the place to do it. The SportsGrid app, if you haven't downloaded it yet on the App Store, make sure you do that. You can follow me directly on there. All my content posted there daily. You want to follow Kevin? You want to follow Pharrell? It's all there for you and a lot of good information. SportsGridRadio.com. You want to listen through there. SiriusXM, you can do that as well. There's so many ways to watch and listen. Make sure you're getting involved and enjoying yourself the most because it's sports, man. We're talking sports. We're sharing information. Now, we don't talk a lot of hockey on this program. Hockey is just underway. The season has opened up. It's a long haul to get to the Stanley Cup. You know my affiliations over here, people. It's Philadelphia. It's the Sixers, it's the Flyers, the Phillies, and it's the Eagles, and I'm passionate about them. The Sixers have been a good team, just not able to get over the hump and get into, the third round of the playoffs, right? They can win a round, can't win round number 2. The Philadelphia Eagles did win a Super Bowl in 2017. They are competitive. They should be competitive once again this year. My Philadelphia Phillies got knocked out by the New York Mets. They deserved it. They weren't as good as the Mets, and the Mets move on. But the Phillies have been certainly a solid program over the past couple years. Now we get to my Philadelphia Flyers. And there was a time in my life when I was growing up in the 1980s, the Flyers were everything to me, more than the Philadelphia Eagles. My Eagles fandom, like around that Reggie White, let's just say late 1980s, Buddy Ryan years, that's where I really started to cultivate of how important the Eagles were in my life. And I love football, played football my whole life. But the Flyers growing up in the 80s were my favorite team, and quite frankly, it wasn't even close. Yeah, I like the rest of the sports teams because I was a sports fan, but the Flyers were my team here. Making runs in the playoffs, getting the Stanley Cups, never winning them there, heroes, the Broad Street Bullies, you get the whole picture. The reason why I'm opening the show on a Football Friday and absolutely talking about the Flyers is this stuff gets me angry. And you know me, I went on a rant the other day about the Utah Hockey Club and how embarrassing that is for the NHL and for Utah itself. You're getting scammed by your own ownership group, and it's embarrassing. And I talked about it. I'm not going to get into it today because I could go on another 1 hour diatribe on that. But let's just talk what makes sense. The Flyers actually got what they think is going to be a franchise player in Matvei Michkov over from Russia. Young kid, looks like he could be a superstar in the NHL. If you are a home team, for me, like the Philadelphia Flyers, to get the people ready for the season and get them excited, most people will say, okay, we're going to hype it up. Game number 1 is going to be played in Washington, in Toronto, in Boston, in Florida, in Tampa Bay, in Carolina, in Nashville, in New York, in New Jersey, in Detroit. You get where I'm going here, right? Did you know to get the people hyped up for a Flyers season, which might be the most exciting over the past 5 to 6 years, they're going to start with 4 games, all on the road, all on the West Coast. Every one of those games is going to start at 10 o'clock or later. I absolutely don't understand how that happens. How could an organization, even like the Flyers, say, all right, hey, schedule's out. Yeah, that's not happening. We're going to take you to court. There will be a class action lawsuit. You're not opening up the season with 4 straight road games, all at 10 o'clock or later. You want to start on a good foot to your season? You want to get people excited for your hockey season? Let me tell you this. There are hardcore Flyer fans, just like in every city, there's hardcore hockey fans. The casual fan that might want to dip into and watch a Flyers game, they're out already. They're not going to see a Flyers game for over a week. Hey, when did the season start? Oh, it started like a week and a half ago. How the Flyers doing? I really don't know. They're on too late for me to actually watch. I'm in bed fast asleep by the time they actually drop the puck. That angers me. Now, got that out of the way. Wanted to start with that, get the rant through there. I know we don't talk a lot of hockey. I just felt the need to get angry at my own hockey club for doing its own fan base that they've kicked in the head for like the past decade. Can't even give them a lot of support and a lot of love going forward in the first 4 games because we won't be able to watch. That being said, there's other big doings across the sports landscape, which included yesterday in Major League Baseball. The Guardians 5, the Tigers 4. We now have a game number 5, which we love. That's going to take place on Saturday. The Guardians held serve there yesterday, needed that win. If they lost, the Tigers would move forward 5-4 as that final. Big home runs by the Fry guy in that game, people. My goodness. 7th inning, 2-run shot by the Fry guy. Then he gets up in the 9th inning. Gets that RBI sac fly. 5-3. Then you did see Jung ground out, and they did get a base runner on. And they were able to score a run 5-4 to try to come back in the 9th for Detroit, but it didn't work out. Cleveland now forces a game 5 in their own building on Saturday night. Love to see that. But even bigger yesterday. The Yankees win. Yes, 3-1. And I had this yesterday. And if anybody was following along, I told you I was going to lay that juice. It's a lot of money to spend in a playoff game on the road. Let's just say $1.50 or more. But it was a pretty good advantage for Garrett Cole. Michael Wacha has actually been a decent pitcher this year and went 4 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, kept them in that ball game per se. But Garrett Cole was sensational. 7 innings pitched, scattered 6 hits, gave up 1 earned run, only 4 strikeouts, but didn't give any free passes. That's what you're supposed to get out of your ace. One of the better pitchers in baseball, in a hostile environment, in a closeout situation, on the road, handle your business, and the Yankees did that. And we've brought this up many times already. This season sets up so well for the Yankees as an easy plane ride right into the World Series. And if they don't get it done, the good thing about Yankees fans, if they get it done, you get to enjoy it. Okay, look, this team won the pennant. They're in the World Series with a chance to win yet another World Series in their illustrious history. Or if they didn't get to the World Series, everybody gets fired and moved. So it's almost like the perfect game plan for a Yankee fan. No matter what happens, you're going to get joy out of this. If they lose, Cashman's gone. Front office guys are gone. Boone's gone. Who knows? Maybe even they get rid of half their roster, because if you can't get it done this year, you're never going to get it done. They move on. They're in the LCS. They're waiting on their opponent, who's going to play on Saturday. But for the Yankees, look at Aaron Judge. Finally got a double yesterday, lifting his average to 154 in this series. But shout out to Giancarlo Stanton. Another 2 hits yesterday, now hitting 375 in that series. Who would have thought that was the case? Giancarlo Stanton is the Yankees' best player now. He is their MVP. Craziness. And by the way, Major League Baseball is going to get the Mets in the LCS, which is nice. It's for ratings. The Phillies would have been good for ratings, too. The Padres are out there, exciting team. Not a huge market, but they'd be okay for ratings. The Dodgers, as we know, will be impressive for ratings. You are going to have the Yankees draw. We know that. But the Yankees are going to go up against a dead-in-the-water, small city franchise. That National League series, if it's Mets and Dodgers, is going to be unbelievable rating bonanza for Major League Baseball. And you know what they would love? A Yankees-Dodgers World Series final. That would be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. The Big Man on Campus joins us next. It's a Football Friday right on the SportsGrid Network. You know the deal. Keep it right here. Sirius XM Channel 159.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in.
Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell said Thursday that Milton's impact was not as destructive as feared, but she is heading out today to see damage from some of the tornadoes that touched down in Florida.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg.
She said the 38 twisters that touched down in the state caused significant damage to a level that Floridians have not seen from tornadoes. On Thursday, she toured flooded roads and debris, some of which was left from Hurricane Helene. A company is recalling nearly 10 million pounds of meat and poultry products made at an Oklahoma plant because they may be contaminated with listeria bacteria that can cause illness and death. Bruce Pack of Woodburn, Oregon recalled the roughly 5,000 tons of ready-to-eat foods this week after U.S. Agriculture Department officials detected listeria in samples of poultry during routine testing. Further tests identified Bruce Pack chicken as the source. The recall includes 75 meat and chicken products.
I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesiest, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezes. Tax extra.
Days are getting cooler
And shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means?
It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Shout out to everybody out there in the chat box here. I see my guy Chris Warren hanging out in the chat box. The X-Man as usual. Jordan as well out there rallying the Valley. Thanks for tuning in here. It is a Football Friday. Jeff Nader will be in here with us in just a few moments, but reviewing what happened yesterday, hitting some of that Major League Baseball card. Got a game number 5 tonight. Got a game number 5 tomorrow night. Love to see that. Lot of tension here in the atmosphere. Chris Warren says there on the chat box, Dodgers won't get there. They lose tonight. Padres money line plus 122. I agree. I took them this morning at plus 124. I'm sticking to my guns here, Chris. I said the Padres would win this series before the season started. I'm not changing it. Yu Darvish tonight, I think it's going to be wonderful. We might be able to handicap that game a little bit more later. But I did pick the Padres, took the plus money. I don't think this game, I see he has the over 7.5. I took the under 8 in that game. So Get a push. He wins. Hopefully it stays under for me. Who knows what happens? And away we go. But the big man on campus joining us now on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. Jeff, what's good, man?
What's up, Donnie? How are you?
Doing good, man. Ready to get rocking and rolling. Started off last night. San Francisco 36-24, Jeff. That line opened up 49.5, went down to 48.5. They easily get over that number after a 3-0 first quarter, which looked like it was a stone-cold under, only to have a scoring spree in the second, third, and fourth quarters here, which included Brock Purdy, 255 in the air, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Geno Smith threw for 312, but my goodness, he certainly wasn't that good. Too many penalties here for the Seattle squad. Now they lose that game. They're 3-3. The 49ers are 3-3, Jeff. Now we find ourselves in the NFC West as the San Francisco 49ers, the prohibitive favorite at a -160. Did you get anything out of last night's game?
Well, I got to tell you, I had my eyes on other things. I had some college football I was betting on. I just kind of worried about that. I think we're continuing to see time and time again that Seattle's not very good defensively. They can't get stops. I mean, 25th in scoring defense. I think on the surface, maybe through a game or two, that secondary looked good, but maybe we're kind of realizing it's not. Look, Geno Smith, a good quarterback. That offense moves the ball. But, look, San Francisco looks like the prohibitive team in that conference or that division per usual. But I didn't watch a ton of it. I've always said to you, I'm not a big fan of Thursday night games. I think it's a bad product. I don't think a lot of the times teams actually want to play. But, no, I was watching Western Kentucky UTEP, Donnie.
Who won that game, by the way? I didn't catch the final score.
Western Kentucky won and covered, laying 19.5. Won it by 27, I believe.
There you go. I think JMU rolled last night as well. By the way, before we get back to the NFL, talk to me about JMU's football program. Why are they this good? How is this possible?
Well, this is how good Kurt Signetti is. Kurt Signetti's now at Indiana, but Kurt Signetti builds programs. That's what he does. He goes to places, builds them up from being nothing, and puts them into the hands of someone who can take care of them when he leaves. And he is, to me, Signetti already a top 10 coach in America. I think he will be at a large SEC school very soon. And, the guy that came in, Bob Chesney, they grab the same type of kids, good kids again. They stop the run. They run the football at a high level. Chesney was at Holy Cross. They had a top 5 rushing offense last season, and they're doing that again this year. They're just kind of rolling teams. They got a great defense too. That's kind of a help. JMU's playing well. It's a shame they didn't beat you on Monroe, because I would have liked to have seen them kind of throw their hat into the playoff opportunity, but it is what it is. They seemed pretty pissed off last night.
Yeah, they certainly did. It's a fun football program to try to watch. It's in one of those football hotbeds there, but you usually expect when you try to make those leaps into the next division, it's like, all right, you get your head kicked in for a couple of years, and they just hit the ground running. And obviously, if anybody was watching early this season, going on the road and just absolutely smashing North Carolina, fun little program here. We'll see how big that they can grow that at this point. But Jeff, also, Major League Baseball last night, your New York Yankees now move into the LCS. Look, no help from Aaron Judge. Doesn't matter. Stanton is out there getting base knocks in big moments. And Garrett Cole, it's finally nice to see. You have a good pitcher on the mound who makes a lot of money in a closeout situation, do their job, and he did that last night.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you pay Garrett Cole for.
It is.
To come in and to close series out. Giancarlo Stanton was good last night. They've got, some timely hits when they needed them. They didn't exactly blow it up offensively like they should. But again, pitching wins. Bullpen came in and shut the door with Holmes and Weaver. I mentioned to you, I'm sitting on a 20-1 ticket with them. You really feel good about the AL. I think they'll get through the AL.
Mm-hmm.
The NL, I'm concerned about. Look, the Mets just seem like doesn't that seem like a Mets-Yankee collision course, man? For the World Series?
It does, but for me, because I know about being hot like down the stretch does mean a lot, but I just don't think their product is going to hold up against a better team. Like the Philadelphia Phillies did bring some decent pitching in, but their bats just drew dead. If you look at the Padres and the Dodgers, they'll be able to go to toe-to-toe, and those two teams will hit. Like Quintana, he's not supposed to dominate out there. Severino, just a cast-off type guy. Bullpen efforts here. I'm not taking anything away from the Mets because we've seen this is the way you can win in September and October by just getting hot at the right time and having a decent bullpen. They've done that, but it just makes it tough. And by the way, if Major League Baseball, Jeff, if we believe like conspiracy theories, like Yankees-Dodgers, man, ratings, just absolute bonanza is what they're praying for.
Well, and I think, but either way, like they're going to get a good World Series. I mean, we
Yankees
could assume
have to get there. Yeah, the Yankees have to get there, and we'll have a decent one. If we're talking about Detroit or Cleveland getting there, come on now. We've already moved on to college basketball.
I will say I didn't go crazy on this, but I really like Cleveland last night to find a way to keep that one, keep that game or series going, and they did. Detroit's impressive though. You got to give them a lot of credit.
They do.
They're just kind of a group that finds a way. No huge names. The kid, what's his name? The pitcher, Scooble, he's really good.
Phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, they've got some great pitchers there. So, yeah, you got to hope that happens. Yankees against whoever, Mets or Dodgers would be huge.
We're going to go to the break in just a second, Jeff, but the Boozer Boys, 2 5-star athletes going to the Duke Blue Devils, man. How about that? The Brotherhood, Jeff. You excited for the Brotherhood?
Yeah, I'm actually someone asked me the other day if I could go anywhere as a basketball player, where would I go? And I had 2 answers, Arizona or Duke. Arizona for the weather and the coaching. But, I mean, Duke is just that premier program. I'm a huge fan of them coming into the season. I think they're very good this year. And, this is what they do. You got to wonder. Look, they're very good, though. I think it makes sense. So, following your dad's
away,
I love them.
3 weeks away from college basketball, and it all gets underway. We're going to talk college football next. Utah, Arizona State tonight, and a big weekend. Why? Because he's the big man on campus. And we'll be right back.
Fall is coming. Don't look like an idiot at work. Know your stuff. Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
Carl Yastrzemski leads off the Boston Four.
Game 6 of the 1967 World Series. Carl Yastrzemski, Reggie Smith, and Enrico Petrocelli hit 3 consecutive home runs and forced a Game 7.
It's in the netting for a home run.
Yaz won the Triple Crown in 67, belting 44 home runs, driving in 121 runs, and batting .326. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
If you've ever brewed your own beer, you may have discovered that bad brewer's yeast, through a process called hyperattenuation, can massively boost the beer's alcohol content, change its flavor, or, in a worst-case scenario, make your beer explode.
Cheers!
New research by the American Society of Microbiology found that adding small amounts of one of 8 different kinds of killer toxins to your beer prevents bad taste, extra alcohol content, and explosions. But if not done carefully, might lead to other problems. Follow me at Chicapalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Moneyline.
Just own it here. It was clear. You come off the field, you and Robert Saleh can't even embrace in a hug, but you'll tell us, great relationship. Like if me and Kevin were in public, it's like, oh, I'm going to try to go over and dap up Kevin. Yo, Kev, come over. Let's grab something to eat. Yeah, I'm not eating with you. Get out of here. He's just a funny guy. He's just, no. Like perception is reality sometimes.
Catch Moneyline with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Big man on campus, Donnie Rightside. Football Friday, SportsGrid Network. It goes hand in hand. It does. And by the way, we got a pretty good battle tonight, Jeff. Big 12 action. 2 teams at 1-1. Utah, 16th in the country, comes in 4-1 overall. Taking on Arizona State on the road, who also is 4-1 overall. The thing I get a kick out of this game, Jeff, is if I hear, I think like when we probably started doing, content together like over a decade ago, I think Cam Rising had just got to college football, and he's still playing, and we're still worrying about if he's going to play on a week-to-week basis. I don't know who gave me the update yesterday on Twitter that it looks like he is going to give it a go tonight. Do you have any looks tonight in Utah, Arizona State?
Yeah, it's exhausting, isn't it? I mean, it's I read a article out of Salt Lake City from someone talking about that in an editorial. He said, this is a charade. It's getting old. And look, as a gambler, I'm kind of just at the point where I just kind of skip over these games. I don't, because I've heard that he is going to play and then he's in street clothes at kickoff.
Yes.
So
correct.
I'm just done with it. I will say, even if he plays, if I can get a 6 on Arizona State, this is a really good football team. They're well coached. They have a kid, Cam Scatabo, terrific running back. They're at home. That's always a tough place, Tempe, to go and play. I kind of had this even with rising in there at like 4.5. So the fact that you can get a 6, I felt like that was a fair price. Arizona State 4-1 against the spread this season. They've been really, really good. So it seemed a little high even with rising, but I'm just out on those games. I don't want to bet him. I don't care. I'm tired of it.
Let's go over some of the big games here on Saturday as well. We'll get to some of the, I'll ask you in a little bit how you feel about Alabama bouncing back after a loss to Vanderbilt, but let's get right into it. The Red River rivalry, number 1 overall, Texas coming into this game. Will it be Arch Manning? Is it going to be Quinn Ewers going up against Oklahoma? 2 teams, it's always funny to say, battling in the SEC when we're so used to them being in the Big 12. Texas, though, favored by over 2 touchdowns, neutral site, Cotton Bowl. Any looks there, Jeff, Texas and Oklahoma?
I think we just have to use what we have. And I think people think just because Oklahoma had a bye week, they're going to sprout out a quarterback and be good all of a sudden. They're not. Jackson Arnold's not a good quarterback. They've struggled mightily offensively. I think they're just still the same kind of defense, maybe slightly better, but it ain't going to matter much. Texas is a buzzsaw. I think this is one of those 38-21 type of games. I think that Texas will find a way to continue to roll. It'll be a little bit closer just because Oklahoma is a better team, and this is a rivalry. Texas does have Georgia on the horizon, but I think we just have to kind of look at what we've seen from Oklahoma and just notice that they're not great, right? I mean, they struggled against Houston. They lost by 10 against Tennessee. So when you look at that game, at home, they lost by 10 to Tennessee. Tennessee ain't Texas, right? Texas is the best team in America. They have 2 high-level quarterbacks. They're stacked on defense. I think the number's right. I would look at laying it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, chat box out here popping off. Chris Brady chimes in here. By the way, Chris Warren, always a big Texas guy out here, and also Brian Mooney. Anybody like Detroit over Dallas on Sunday in the NFL? We'll get to that in just a little bit. But also, Jeff, Texas, starting quarterback tomorrow. Who's going to be? Who's going to be the starter?
I would imagine it's Quinn Ewers. He's been the guy. I think, coming back from injury, he'll be the guy. I think Sark has come out and said that he'll be the guy. But the great thing about that is, as a gambler, you know what I look at, Donnie?
Yeah, what do you got?
If I'm laying big numbers, I want a second quarterback that can come in and keep scoring. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
There's nothing worse when you're up big. Let's say you're laying 27, you're up 35, and they take the starter out, and some goof comes in that's never thrown the football, and it's we got to deal with a whole quarter of this. It's I know with them, I can get Arch Manning and he'll keep scoring. So I think it'll be Arch or not Arch, Ewers. And I think what this does, Donnie, is when we look at the Heisman Trophy right now, the Heisman Trophy in week 7 means nothing. I don't care who you think's going to win. It's probably not going to be that guy. There's so much football to play. And I think Ewers probably has a chip on his shoulder. Maybe they wanted someone else. They have the best team in the country. Ewers is a guy who I would look at in the Heisman race right now. He's got a lot of games. And over the next 2, he could vault into being the favorite. If they blow out Oklahoma and then beat Georgia, he will be right in the running. So Ewers is a guy week to week that I'd be looking at.
Jeff, what do you think of the Jeanty kid out in Boise State? Legitimate? Because he's the favorite right now to win Heisman. That's what I'm like. Is he legitimate for you? What? Because I actually the Boise fans got angry with me, Jeff, on Twitter when I called the coach an idiot for not letting him spin and get 400 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns in the last game. No, team effort and do all this and line up, and you can't do that here. I said, come on now. Do you look in the past, you see Barry Sanders averaged 31 carries when he won the Heisman. You take a look at Derrick Henry averaged 26 yards in the SEC when he won the Heisman. You got to do more. Chef Nadeau, who's the big man on campus, loves himself some college football. Much more next. Keep the dial right here.
Coil up that garden hose.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. Shop Chuck Sanders.
Green, back, track, wall, two strike, 2 out, 2-run home run.
The action courtesy Guardians Radio, 5-4 the win over the Tigers last night. That ties the American League Division Series at 2 games apiece. The deciding Game 5 is tomorrow in Cleveland. Tarek Skubal starts for Detroit. The Guardians haven't announced their starter. The winner advances to face the New York Yankees, who beat the Royals 3-1 last night to take that series in 4 games. Tonight, the Padres take on the Dodgers. Game 5 in Los Angeles. The Dodgers haven't announced a starter. Yu Darvish starts for San Diego. The winner advances to face the New York Mets in the NLCS. Thursday Night Football, the 49ers beat the Seahawks 36-24. Both teams are 3-3 with the result.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop Macy's VIP sale going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Right before your very eyes, the boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
I know Jeff likes this category we're getting to next. Penn State Nittany Lions unbeaten. 2-0 in the Big Ten. They're going out to the West Coast to play SC, and yes, that's a Big Ten game. Still getting used to it here. But you know what I get a kick out of? Because I think Jeff's in the same boat as me. Growing up in the areas that we grew up, you're supposed to like the Philadelphia sports teams, and you're supposed to like Penn State as well. My friends like Penn State. I couldn't stand them growing up. I was a Miami Hurricanes fan. So it still holds true to this day. And then I see James Franklin at a press conference or one of those, post-practice, before practice things. He's angry, Jeff. You know what he's angry at? Not because I got a tough game this week. It's our airport in State College. The runway isn't long enough. Now we have to travel an extra hour to get to Harrisburg to fly out to USC, and that's an unfair disadvantage. We're not supposed to root against Penn State, Jeff. But when Penn State loses, I actually enjoy myself more. Are you the same way? And also, what happens Penn State USC this weekend?
Well, here's where I will. Look, I grew up as a child. Penn State was a normal thing in my household. I'd go to my grandpa's who watched every day. He was a huge Penn State fan. And as I get older, obviously things happen there. And look, you kind of look at this and you say, well, he's being lame. But do you know what the endowment at Penn State is, Donnie, this year?
Something ridiculous? Yeah, tell us. What is it?
$4.57 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you go to State College, it is all that town is built on. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
So we can agree that most of the endowment or a lot of the endowment comes from obviously tuition and the football program. Okay. Mm-hmm. The airport is a nothing burger. It's not a real airport. You can't extend it a little bit. It's literally the issue they have there. I will say, and I agree with him on this. It's hard to get a recruit to come there, right? Because it's like you got to fly to Harrisburg or Pittsburgh and then drive. It's brutal.
It's like one way in, one way out on the road. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like do something with the airport. It's insane. Like it should be a lot easier to get there as a huge program. That said, I don't think it'll mean too much in the grand scheme of the games because Penn State has been home, Donnie, for 5 straight weeks.
Yes.
If I'm a player, I almost welcome going out to sunny LA, business trip. We're playing really well. We got a team we got a team in USC whose defense looks kind of what they always are. Miller Moss has kind of struggled in stepping up. This is a really good advantage for them on the offensive and defensive lines. I just think they're a better team. The whole world is on USC, Donnie. I have not seen mean, outside of me, I'm seemingly the only person on Penn State. I think this is a great spot. I put the number at 6. I played 4.5. It's down to 3.5. I'm good with Penn State. I mean, Nani, 24-17 is a winner here. 26-20 is a winner. So I like the Penn State here. The only teams they struggle with are Ohio State, Michigan. This isn't that.
Yep. We'll see what happens there in that game, but it is interesting. And you're right, for the kids going out there playing in the Coliseum. It'll be a packed house. You're going to get great weather. So certainly should be a great environment. You know where another great environment, Jeff, is? 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturday night up in Autzen Stadium. That's Oregon. That's Ohio State. Number 2, number 3, field goal favorite for OSU. How do they handle that environment? And also, are they the better team, or is Dylan Gabriel going to pull off that minor upset out there?
I also look at coaching. I'm just not a big Ryan Day guy. I like Dan Lanning a lot. This is a group in Ohio State who, look, have all the big names, but I think the one knock is, is Will Howard good enough? I think Dylan Gabriel's a better quarterback. I think defensively, Oregon's secondary is really good. I think they can match up with Ohio State's weapons. This game's going to come down to, can Ohio State defensive line or Oregon's defensive line stop that run game for Ohio State? They have plenty of weapons there. And look, Oregon's been good in these spots, against top 10 teams. They're at home. To me, this should be a pick 'em. I think +3 is kind of crazy. I think these teams are just a flip. It's a flip game, especially with Oregon being at home. Maybe give a slight advantage to Ohio State. And not a game I'll bet on. I'd lean with Oregon. Maybe you take a shot with Dylan Gabriel to throw his name back into the Heisman. If he has a big game here,
that's a
he will
Heisman
be
game
right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a Heisman game right there. The good part about that is
Jalen Milroe did.
Yeah, this is not an elimination game for Ohio State and Oregon. Still, either team that takes a loss here be able to climb right back into that picture for the national championship race. The reason I bring that up is we do have an elimination game. We just talked about 7:30 Ohio State, Oregon. You go down to the SEC, Ole Miss number 9, LSU number 13, Jeff. Both of these teams with one loss here. The stakes are extremely high. Jackson Dart and the boys go on the road. Night game in LSU, never easy. Brian Kelly's boys, you look at that line. Mississippi comes in as over a field goal favorite. Any thoughts on that Ole Miss LSU game?
This is my guy right here, Jackson Dart. Okay, so if they win this game, LSU secondary stinks. He should have a big game here. They're right back into the conversation, right? LSU's out. They're back in. And Jackson Dart has put up big numbers so far this year. There's a lot of football left to be played. And this Ole Miss team, Donnie, it's not just on offense they're good. They have the best defensive line in the country. 24 sacks already. They have been all over the place. I think they have the best running or receiver in the country. I really like this team a lot. They bounced back at a high level last week, shutting out essentially South Carolina, putting up enough points, enough yards. I think LSU's good. They're not great. This will be a battle because going down there is difficult, but give me Ole Miss in a huge game. I think they find a way to win. It could be close. Again, another game I'm not looking to bet on. But Jackson Dart, Donnie, 73.5% completion, 2,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Pretty impressive so far.
It is. It is. And let's go to one more game here. Saturday night. Kansas State goes on the road to take on Colorado, Jeff. Kansas State, slight favorite here, just over a field goal. But if we are looking at the total, mid-50s, Colorado's 4-1, 2-0 in the Big 12. I know a lot of people are thinking about that team total for Colorado, they might not get there. Colorado's been playing better football than maybe most anticipated. They're going to get a good punch from Kansas State. Can Colorado go 3-0 in the Big 12, or is this Kansas State's game?
You look at that game. I love the over. The over looks really, really appetizing here. Really nice weather out in Boulder, 63, no wind. You've got a team in Colorado who we're going to find out if what they did against UCF was real or not. UCF was a really good run offense. K-State's a better run offense. This is a second-best rush team in the country, 6.93 yards a carry. They are going to run. Howard is going to be tested. The problem is for K-State, Shadur Sanders is the best quarterback in this game. They're going to throw. They have a multitude of weapons. And if K-State has an issue, it's in the pass defense. I think this game is first to 34 wins. I like the over. I think 55, 56 is too low. There's too many weapons on the field. Dylan Edwards and the running backs there at K-State, I think are going to have success. I also think UCF, I'm not going to take anything away from Colorado, but UCF couldn't run the ball last either against Florida. They might just not be very good. So this is a huge game for Colorado. Game at home. This is, to me, the biggest game in the history of the Deion Sanders era at Colorado. This game is huge. If you have this game, then all of a sudden, maybe you can win the Big 12. I think it's that possible. Huge game. I like the over. Should be a fun back and forth game.
With his sons moving on to the NFL next year, Jeff, is this the opportunity he's looking to parlay and say, I took our team to a bowl, we were challenging in the Big 12, where maybe you can get a higher Power 5 job? Like, what's the end game for Deion? It's not staying at Colorado, right?
I think the end game is going to be, and I truly mean this, I think he will be the coach for the Dallas Cowboys in a year or two. I think that's going to be, what's next. Is it with his son? I don't know. Possibly. I mean, he's not a top 10 pick, at least in my opinion. It just seems like a glitzy, glammy kind of thing. We'll see. He ain't going to stay at Colorado. I know that. But is it going to be the NFL? Who knows? We know he played at Dallas. I think there's something there. We know they're always about things that go on. So, that's what I think happens.
All right, boys, let's flip it over to the NFL next. We'll talk a little Philadelphia Eagles. Also some updates from Adam Schefter and also Dov Kleiman on injuries. Get caught up next right here on Moneyline.
I hate Dov Kleiman.
Get a chum or some. I already gave the summer.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Around the NFL, Ravens quarterback Gardner Minshew has been benched. Aiden O'Connell will start this week. Head coach Antonio Pierce.
Just vocal confidence, out of that shell, not looking like a rookie no more, not acting like a rookie no more. He has a certain presence about himself, and it's not so outgoing where you'll just notice it. But if you've been around him enough, he's really what I respected the most is when we named Gardner the starter. He said, "All right, I'm gonna be the best scouting quarterback possible." So all those things factor into decisions.
Pierce also weighed in on the status of Devontae Adams, who's been injured and requested a trade from Vegas.
He's still a Raider. When he's healthy and he can play, we'll play him. He's just not healthy right now. And he's getting closer, though. That's the good part. He's working every day to get that hamstrings right. He's in the right headspace mentally. Like I said, we talked recently and had a good conversation. He's ready to play football.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up.
Sit tight.
The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information
To give you the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Good after some pro football last night on a Thursday night. You saw the San Francisco 49ers climb back into first place in the NFC West to get the week going. Big card this week, but I did say we had some information on some key players throughout the league. Yesterday, if you watched, Jordan Mason was absolutely rumbling in that football game, hurt his shoulder. Adam Schefter says the NFL's leading rusher, 49ers running back Jordan Mason, is believed to have suffered a sprained AC joint during Thursday night's win at Seattle. That is not considered serious, but he will undergo further testing today per sources as they wait to get back McCaffrey, who's trying to get back sometime in November. Maybe can't count on that. Malik Neighbors, who got a concussion over 2 weeks ago, is now also ruled out this week because of that same concussion. So taking it a little bit slowly here with him on that front. But Jeff and I, we do follow the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys know that. They're taking on the Cleveland Browns. This should be a layup for the Eagles. Third straight road game for the Cleveland Browns. Banged up, all God almighty on the offensive line, the running backs, the wideouts, the DBs, you name it, and a bad quarterback. And the Eagles should be fully healthy coming into this game. Jeff opened up at a touchdown, now at 9.5 across the board. For me, they better win this game by double digits. What's your thoughts on the Browns and the Eagles?
It has been 354 days since the last time the Eagles won a game by double digits.
Oh,
it was back on October 22nd of last year. They beat Miami 31-17. Not similar spot, but they're back at home this week. I played this at 8, Donnie. I just think the Browns are who they are. I think they're a team with an albatross around this program, this team. They're not very good. They're completely lost from a play calling standpoint. They're throwing the ball a lot and shouldn't be, but they have nobody to run the football. They're just kind of a complete mess on offense, and it's no surprise they're only scoring about 15.5 points a game. This is a great spot. I think you have a bunch of kids, hungry kids in that secondary all of a sudden with DeJean. Quinyon Mitchell's played really well for the Eagles. They're off of a bye week. They're getting everybody back healthy. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson. That offense is going to look like we think it should. I think we see a complete effort. And I will tell you, and mark my words if I say this, if the Eagles lose this game, Doug Sirianni will be fired.
Yes.
No, I'm serious. You can't.
No,
You can't make an argument for this. This is a game where you have to clinically win by 2+ touchdowns. But I think they will. I think this is a really good spot where I think they maybe take out some frustration too. Maybe use some alternate lines, maybe a 13.5 or something. Something just tells me the Eagles win big, 38-10 or something.
Yeah, I was even asked yesterday on the panel. It's like, well, what if they just win the game? Like, if they win by 3, they're just alarm bells going off all over the NovaCare. Like, this team isn't destined for anything. I agree with you. And just because you have to win by that much and you're supposed to, like, we grant, it's professional sports. Nothing is easy. But I looked at that line when it came out early this week and it was already over a touchdown. And I didn't even 7.5, 8.5. I said double-digit win by the Philadelphia Eagles. Anything less will be unacceptable. And then you really have deeper lying issues because this is a team that is going to be served up on a platter on Sunday. In the absolute worst case scenario you can have for a football team, Jeff, that's what the Browns are in.
Remember, too, like, the Eagles historically have been very good off buys. Under Andy, they were very good off a bye. This should be a great spot. Plus, you're getting so many guys back. I mean, the offense we saw against Tampa is not the offense you're going to see tomorrow. A.J. Brown makes them. He's the best receiver here since Terrell Owens. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson type. So, yeah, I think they win big. And you're right. It can't be. You can't win on a last-second field goal.
Nope.
You can't do it.
No. And also, this is a team that the Philadelphia Eagles don't really rush the passer all that well. You can sack Deshaun Watson left and right. They give up like 5 sacks a game. So it's lined up for an Eagles victory. We'll see how it plays out. How about this other team, Jeff, in the NFC East? The Washington Commanders playing great football as of late. Now, you might say, well, their talent really, who they're playing isn't good enough. They're going to get some good talent this weekend. It's the Baltimore Ravens. That line is around 7. Most outlets at it 6.5, just below that 7 price. Baltimore, 44% of the tickets coming in there. 56% coming in on Washington. Jaden Daniels going up against Lamar Jackson. Baltimore, always one of my favorite teams to bet, but that defense hasn't been there all that much this year, Jeff. Can Washington move the football against them?
I don't think. I mean, I think I could see why you think they would, but this is where I really wonder, like what Jaden Daniels are we, we've seen a good one recently, but as you alluded to, like the Commanders haven't exactly played, a murderer's row, and he struggled, week 1. Last week you played, who'd they play? Cleveland. I mean, we know they stink. The Cardinals can't stop anybody. The Bengals can't stop anybody. This is a better defense. Something tells me this is a lot like the Buffalo game for the opponent for the Ravens. Throw in the fact that Washington is literally one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. Here's where I'm going in this game, Donnie. I did it last week with the Bengals. I mentioned to you, I like the Ravens team total. I think they put up a bunch of points in this game. They should be kind of 5.5, 6 yards a carry. They're good in the red zone. I don't really want to worry about the defense. If it creates a turnover or two, so be it. But I want the team total. I think the Ravens will get into the 30s here. It's 29.5, but again, this should be a 30 average 30 spot for the Ravens.
No, absolutely. I'm with you there. And by the way, 425 start the Detroit Lions, who I like very much this year in a NFC that can be had by anybody. They're certainly up there in the top of the heap, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Had a really gutty win at the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, coming back in that final drive, 4th down conversion for a touchdown to Tolbert. This line, Jeff, sits at 52.5 as a total, but a 3-point line across the board for Detroit. Detroit, about 65% of the tickets coming in. FanDuel opened up at 3, still sitting at 3 here. I do like Detroit, but this line not moving is actually bothering me right now. Can Dallas come up with another great effort and pull off another upset win? And this one is at home.
Yeah, that was a gritty win last week by Dallas. Dakota Prescott did what he had to do when it mattered most. Don't have much of a run game, but they made plays against a really good defense. Softer defense this week. Throw in the fact that they're getting 3 at home. I'm kind of with you. I don't know that I see this sick. This would mean it should be -6 in Detroit. That seems a little high. Yeah, I think Dallas is. I've always said I think they're an underrated team during the regular season. They occasionally have a bad defensive performance, but the fact that this number hasn't moved has kind of alarm bells going off. Maybe the money's not being respected. Give me Dallas.
There you go. Jeff's on Dallas here this week. By the way, Drake May, Spencer Rattler getting their first starts in the NFL career. Let's talk about that before we wrap up a Moneyline on a Football Friday.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall.
The World Series is on its way.
And SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Grady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Kaplan and crew.
Manny Machado is so frustrating right now for this reason. Great leadership I've seen, but how many strikeouts does Manny have where he's flailing at curveballs that are 6 inches off the plate? It's like he's made up his mind he's swinging before the pitch is even made. I don't know. Browner, talk me off the ledge.
It's Kaplan and crew with Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
No way football is played in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Hour goes fast, doesn't it? It's Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus. Donnie Rightside right here. SiriusXM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid Network Moneyline. Before we get to a couple rookie quarterbacks, Jeff, I didn't get your take here. Buffalo, New York. Monday Night Football. Yes, we have a full Sunday slate to wait before we get there. The Jets fire their head coach, Robert Saleh. Now it's Aaron Rodgers' football team. Nobody to look forward to but Aaron Rodgers performing. If they win, we'll get the credit. If they lose, they're going to run him out of town. They're getting 2.5 points on Monday night, but even before we get there, how did you feel about Robert Saleh getting fired? The right move, or is this just Aaron Rodgers getting his way? Even though, Jeff, he's telling us he didn't have anything to do with this.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to come out and say, yeah, screw him, scumbag. See ya.
Yep. They're best friends.
I think it's a little. Yeah, I think it's a little panic going on. Maybe I think they expected to be further ahead. I mean, but they have more issues than we think. I mean, Hassan Reddick is literally just allowing money to be taken from him on a daily basis because they don't want to do something with him. Just seems messy. You also have a quarterback who's in his 40s off a major injury who just isn't as good as he used to be. I don't know how else to say that. I feel bad for Saleh, but I don't know. He came off a little corny to me, a little cringy. I don't know that he really had. I would have fired the coordinator of anything. But yeah, they are who they are. They're not a great defensive line. They're not a great defense. They don't move the football. They don't run the football enough. If you don't run the ball this week, I don't know when you're going to. Buffalo is the worst rushing defense in the NFL. They give up 5.5 yards a carry almost. Mm-hmm. You got to run the football. I actually think it's a decent spot to back them at home. Kind of desperate spot. I generally like fading. I like backing teams off of a coaching change.
And also, Jeff, you take a look, the same thing that the Cleveland Browns have. Like, don't forget, like the Buffalo Bills are on their third straight road game here. Open up 3-0, drop their first two. Sure, they want to beat the Jets, but boy, we've seen it so many times. You're just on that last leg. It's like, I just want to finally get a home game and see what happens. And that's a big divisional game on Monday. We'll see it play out. We do have some rookie quarterbacks, Jeff, making their debuts in the NFL. Drake May and the talented New England Patriots, not so much. Getting 6.5 points on the road. Houston's going to be down Nico Collins, one of the better wideouts in football. But what are the expectations, Jeff? Like, how do you approach this game? A rookie starting on a non-talented football team and getting under a touchdown. Is that a buy point for New England? Can't be for me. Goodness gracious.
It is for me. I already bet.
Wow.
Whoa. Why is this number not 7.5, 8? I mean, I think they're just begging you to take Houston. Houston's only 6.5, but they don't need Nico Collins. Yeah. Listen, Houston's offense, Donnie, analytically is not good. It isn't. They have not moved the ball. They can't run the ball. Nico Collins is super important. He's gone. I think Tank Dell's injured. Stephon Diggs is who knows what he's up to during the week. It's just messy. They're just a messy team, man. And look, New England's not good, but they have a good defense. Drake May is better than what they've had. I mean, it seems like an ugly.
I love it.
Yeah, it seems like an ugly game. I think under 38 makes a lot of sense here. Maybe that's the way I'll go as well, just to kind of help myself a little bit. I think if New England lose, it's 24-13. So you'll have an under there. So I don't know. I'm not betting Houston. I can't with some of the issues they have. This also hasn't went to 7, which concerns me.
Yes.
So yeah, I took New England here. Give me them.
If we just look at FanDuel, like this is definitely a Jeff surprise right here because 83% of the tickets are coming in on Houston. That line opened up at FanDuel at 6.5 at -118. Today, it's 6.5 at -118. That line's not moving.
Yeah. It's a bunch of fanboys and people that they'll be in every money line parlay, every teaser, and here's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. To me, I think Houston will lose somehow, right? And we'll be looking at it and saying, "Uh-oh, they lose to New England." They're messy. They're not good on offense. The only team worse analytically is Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland's been brilliant. It's one of those, give it to Ramondre Stevenson, play decent defense. Houston's not looking for style points. They just want to get out of there with a win. They don't need to stretch the opponent out, and we'll see what happens. Quickly on New Orleans.
Remember, Donnie.
Go ahead. Yeah. What do you got?
Real quick. This is a lot like that Jags game a couple of weeks ago where the Jags were getting 6. Game wouldn't go to 7. Jags hung around, probably should have won the game.
Yeah. No, we see it all. The NFL's been tough this year, and if you're taking points, damn it, you're doing really well this year in the NFL, even
That's
just taking them blind. Yep. We'll see what happens this weekend, but he's the big man on campus. Another wonderful hour right here on Moneyline. Fantastic stuff all the way through. Chris, our producer here on the Wheels of Steel, making us look good. I'm Donnie Rightside. Win your bets on Saturday and Sunday. Then come back here Monday as we get ready for the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. We're out of here.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in.
Life is good. Sports